Every morning, long before the city truly wakes up, she is already there. The lights inside the building flicker on one by one, revealing wide hallways, polished floors, and glass walls that shine like mirrors. In that quiet hour, she moves slowly across the empty space, an elderly cleaner with a bent back and tired hands. Her steps are careful, measured, as if her body remembers every hard year she has lived. She is well past 60. Her hair, once dark and thick, is now thin and gray, always tied back neatly. Her face is lined with deep wrinkles, each one earned through years of struggle and silence. Her uniform hangs loosely on her fragile frame, faded from countless washes, stitched and restitched where the fabric gave up long ago. Still, she wears it with quiet dignity. No one knows her name. To most people, she is just part of the building, like the walls or the floor. She cleans while others rush past. She wipes away dirt that no one notices, fixing messes made by people who never look back. Her presence is invisible, her voice unheard. Her day begins before sunrise. She wakes in a small, cold room, her joints stiff and aching. Some mornings, the pain is so sharp it steals her breath, but she sits up anyway. She cannot afford to rest. Rest does not pay rent. Rest does not buy food. She washes her face with cold water, puts on her worn shoes, and steps out into the quiet streets. By the time the city comes alive, she has already been working for hours. As she pushes her cleaning cart through the long corridors, memories follow her like shadows. There was a time when her life looked very different. A small home filled with voices. Warm meals shared at a crowded table. Dreams she believed would last forever. But life did not keep its promises. One by one, those dreams slipped away. Loss came quietly at first, then all at once. People she loved were taken by illness, by fate, by circumstances she could not control. Each goodbye left her a little weaker, a little more alone. She learned to swallow her pain, to keep moving even when her heart felt too heavy to carry. Sacrifice became her way of life. She gave up comfort. She gave up rest. She gave up the idea that someone might one day take care of her. Survival left no room for hope. Inside the building, people begin to arrive. Shoes click loudly on the floor she has just cleaned. Conversations fill the air, important meetings, big deals, busy lives. They walk past her without slowing down, without a glance. Sometimes, someone almost bumps into her cart and sighs in annoyance, as if she is in the way. Sometimes, they speak over her head, never to her. She lowers her eyes and steps aside, apologizing even when she has done nothing wrong. Each moment like that adds weight to her chest. Being ignored hurts more than being scolded. Being unseen makes her feel smaller than she already is. Yet she says nothing. She never complains. She keeps cleaning. In quiet moments, she wonders when she became invisible. But even in her silence, there is strength. Despite the loneliness, despite the pain, she shows up every day. Her hands shake, but they do not stop. Her heart aches, but does not harden. She still fixes what others break. She still leaves places better than she found them. No one notices the courage it takes for her just to be there. No one sees the battles she has already survived. As she finishes her morning rounds, she pauses for a moment, leaning lightly on her mop. Around her, the building hums with life. Above her, people chase success. Below it all, she stands quietly, carrying a lifetime of loss on her shoulders. She does not know it yet, but this ordinary day, this silent routine, is about to change. Soon, her kindness will be tested. And when it is everything she believes about the world, and everything the world believes about her, will be forced into the light. By mid-morning, the building no longer feels empty. The quiet hall she cleaned at dawn now echo with voices, ringing phones, and fast footsteps. The air is filled with urgency. People move quickly, eyes locked on glowing screens, minds already racing ahead to the next meeting, the next deal, the next win. This place is built on wealth and power. Glass walls rise high above her, shining under bright lights. Expensive shoes tap against the spotless floor she just polished. The smell of coffee and perfume lingers in the air. Everything here looks perfect, controlled, important. And in the middle of it all, she moves quietly with her cleaning cart. No one slows down for her. A man brushes past, barely missing her mop, and clicks his tongue in annoyance. A woman steps around her cart with a sharp sigh, as if the cleaner herself is the problem. Someone drops a crumpled paper without looking back. Someone else leaves a coffee cup on a ledge, expecting it to disappear on its own. She bends down and picks it up anyway. She has learned to make herself small. When people approach, she steps aside. When voices grow sharp, she lowers her eyes. She knows better than to take up space in a world that has already decided she does not matter. Each small moment stings. It is not the words that hurt most. It is the lack of them. The way people speak over her, not to her. The way their eyes slide past her face as if she is made of air. As she wipes fingerprints from a glass door, her reflection stares back at her. For a brief second, she barely recognizes the woman looking back. The tired eyes, the slumped shoulders, the quiet sadness she carries like an old coat she can never remove. She remembers another time, a time when people listened when she spoke, when her hands worked not to clean messes, but to build a home, when laughter filled her days instead of silence. Those memories come softly, like whispers, and leave just as quickly. She cannot afford to live in the past. Pain is easier to carry when it stays buried. She pushes her cart forward, focusing on the floor in front of her. That is when she notices something that makes her pause. Not far away, a well-dressed employee is arguing with a delivery worker. The voices are low but tense. The delivery worker stands nervously, holding a clipboard, clearly confused and afraid. The other man's posture is sharp, impatient, filled with power. Something feels wrong. She watches as the blame shifts, unfair and quick. The weaker man has no voice here. No one steps in. No one questions the truth. The hallway stays busy, yet no one truly sees what is happening. She feels a familiar ache in her chest. She knows this feeling, the weight of being judged without being heard, the pain of being small in someone else's world. For a moment, she thinks about speaking up, but her throat tightens. She looks down at her hands, old, shaking, worn. She knows what happens to people like her when they get involved. Trouble follows. Jobs are lost. Life becomes even harder. So she stays silent. The argument ends quickly. The delivery worker walks away, shoulders slumped. The powerful man straightens his suit and moves on as if nothing happened. She stands there, holding her mop, guilt pressing against her heart. She tells herself she had no choice. She tells herself survival comes first. Still, the feeling lingers, heavy and uncomfortable. As she resumes cleaning, a strange thought settles in her mind. What if one day, she is the one being tested? What if kindness demands something from her that silence cannot protect her from? She shakes the thought away and keeps moving. She does not know that this busy, uncaring place, this world that refuses to see her, is quietly preparing a moment that will change everything. And when that moment comes, staying invisible will no longer be an option. The hallway is quieter than usual when it happens. Late afternoon light pours through the tall windows, casting long shadows across the floor. The rush of the day has slowed, leaving behind a tired stillness. She pushes her cleaning cart forward, her body heavy, her arms aching from hours of work. This is usually the easiest part of the day. Fewer people, less noise, less pressure. She bends down to wipe a corner near the elevator when something catches her eye. A small leather wallet lies half hidden under a bench. She freezes. For a moment, she simply stares at it, as if it might disappear if she looks too closely. Lost things are dangerous things. They bring questions. They bring trouble. She has learned that over the years. Slowly, she reaches down and picks it up. The wallet feels heavy in her hands, too heavy to ignore. Her heart begins to beat faster. She glances around the hallway. No one seems to be watching. The security desk is far away. The elevator doors are closed. She tells herself to put it back down. Someone else will find it. Someone younger. Someone braver. Someone with more power to protect themselves. but her fingers tighten around the worn leather. She opens it just enough to see what is inside. Cash, cards, an ID, enough money to cover her rent, enough to buy medicine she has been putting off, enough to make life a little easier, at least for a while. The thought hits her like a wave. No one would know. She feels shame rise in her chest for even thinking it. But she is tired. Her back hurts. Her hands tremble. Life has taken so much from her already. She closes the wallet quickly, as if that will silence the voice inside her head. Another voice answers. This is not who you are. Her thoughts drift back to the people she lost, to the lessons she learned when life was simpler and kinder, to the belief she once held that doing the right thing mattered, even when no one was watching. Still, fear grips her. What if someone accuses her of stealing? What if returning it brings trouble instead of relief? What if kindness costs her the only thing she has left, her job? Her chest tightens as she looks at the security office down the hall. It feels far away, too far for someone like her. She could walk past it. She could place the wallet on a desk and leave before anyone sees her. She could disappear back into her work. But something stops her. She straightens her shoulders, even though it hurts. She takes a slow breath. Her legs feel weak as she pushes her cart forward, the wallet now resting on top. Each step feels heavier than the last. As she reaches the security desk, her mouth goes dry. Her voice, when she finally speaks, comes out soft and unsure. She places the wallet down carefully, as if it might break. She explains, briefly, simply. She found it. She is returning it. The security guard barely looks up at first. When he does, his eyes narrow with quick suspicion. He asks questions she does not expect. His tone is sharp. Doubt hangs in the air. Her hands begin to shake. She feels small again, exposed, vulnerable. For a moment, she wonders if she has made a terrible mistake. But she does not take the wallet back. She does not argue. She stands her ground in silence, letting the truth be all she has. After a long pause, the guard takes the wallet and nods stiffly. She turns away, her heart pounding, unsure of what will happen next. As she walks back to her cart, relief mixes with fear. No one thanks her. No one praises her honesty. The hallway looks the same as it always has. To the world, nothing has changed. But inside her, something has. She chose kindness when it was not easy. She chose honesty when no one was watching. She gave up comfort for what felt right. It was a small act, a quiet one. Yet as she resumes cleaning, a strange feeling follows her, one she cannot name. A sense that this moment will not end here. That kindness, once given, does not simply disappear. Unseen eyes are now watching. Unspoken questions have been raised. And though she does not know it yet, this simple choice, this act of compassion without reward, has set something powerful into motion, something that will soon test her even more. The change begins quietly. At first, she thinks it is just her imagination, a feeling in the air, a pause that lasts a little too long. As she moves through the hallway the next morning, something feels different. People are looking at her, not directly, not openly, but she feels it in the way conversations stop when she passes, in the way eyes follow her for just a second longer than before. Whispers float behind her back, soft but sharp. She keeps her head down and continues working. At the security desk, the guard who took the wallet avoids her eyes. His tone is colder when he gives her a short nod. No greeting. No esmail. Just distance. Her stomach tightens. By midday, the weight becomes heavier. Two supervisors stand near the elevator, speaking in low voices. When she walks by, one of them pauses. The other glances at her cart, then at her hands, as if measuring something unseen. She feels her face grow warm. Has she done something wrong? She replays the moment again and again in her mind. Finding the wallet, carrying it to security, placing it on the desk. She searches her memory for mistakes, for anything that could be twisted or misunderstood. Nothing changes the fact that doubt now hangs over her like a shadow. At lunch, she sits alone in the corner of the break room. The bench feels harder than usual. Her food remains untouched as thoughts crowd her mind. What if they think she tried to steal it? What if someone said she took something from it? She has no proof, no witness, only her word. and her word has never carried much weight here. She looks at her hands resting in her lap. They are still, calm on the outside, but inside, a storm rages. Regret creeps in slowly, quietly. Maybe she should have walked away. Maybe kindness was a mistake. The thought hurts more than she expects. She has spent her whole life trying to do the right thing, even when it cost her. But now the cost feels too high. Her job is fragile. Her life depends on this small paycheck. One accusation could take it all away. Fear settles deep in her chest. Yet beneath it, something else stirs. Resolve. She straightens her back and takes a deep breath. Whatever happens, she tells herself she will not lie. She will not beg. She will not turn kindness into shame. As she returns to work, she notices small things she missed before. A camera angled toward the hallway where she found the wallet. A supervisor watching from across the floor, pretending to check his phone. A security guard speaking quietly into his radio while looking in her direction. Her heart beats faster. She does not know why, but she feels watched. Not in a cruel way. Not entirely. It feels like something is unfolding beyond her sight. Like pieces moving into place, guided by hands she cannot see. She continues cleaning, each motion steady, controlled. If this is a test, she will face it the same way she faces everything else, with quiet strength. As the day ends, no one calls her into an office. No one accuses her. No one explains anything. The silence is worse than blame. She leaves the building under a darkening sky, her footsteps slow, her thoughts heavy. Streetlights flicker on as she walks home, wondering what tomorrow will bring. Was kindness worth this fear? She does not have an answer yet. But somewhere inside the building she just left, questions are being asked. Truth is being checked. Decisions are being weighed. And though she walks alone into the night, the audience can feel it now. Her simple act has reached further than she ever imagined. What began as a quiet choice has become part of something much larger. And soon, the truth will start to surface. The building did not feel the same after the incident. The halls were still polished, the lights still bright. But something unseen had shifted beneath the surface. Whispers traveled faster than footsteps. Eyes followed the elderly cleaner as she pushed her cart from floor to floor, though no one spoke to her directly. Some looked away. Others watched her with quiet suspicion. Behind closed doors, questions were being asked. Security footage was reviewed again and again. Supervisors spoke in low voices, pointing at screens, rewinding moments that seemed small at first, but now carried weight. The incident that everyone had dismissed as routine no longer felt simple. There were gaps in the story, details that did not add up. And at the center of it all was the old cleaner, silent, steady, and misunderstood. She knew none of this. She continued her work as she always had, head lowered, movements slow but careful. Each swipe of the mop felt heavier than usual. Her chest tightened every time she passed the offices where people stopped talking the moment she appeared. She had lived with judgment before, but this felt sharper, colder. Still, she did not defend herself. She never had. As the investigation deepened, someone finally asked the question no one had cared to ask before. Who is she? Her employee file was thin, almost empty. No complaints, no warnings. Decades of service across different buildings, different companies. Always the same note. Reliable, quiet, punctual. Nothing more. It was as if her life had been erased, reduced to check marks on a form. Then an older supervisor remembered something. He recalled seeing her years ago in another building, standing alone in the rain after a long shift, refusing a ride home. He remembered how she never took what was not hers, not even leftover food offered carelessly. That memory opened a door. Bit by bit, her past began to surface. She had once lived a fuller life. Long ago, she had been a wife, a mother, a woman with dreams that reached beyond cleaning floors. But life had not been kind. Loss had come suddenly, leaving her with grief she never spoke of. She had worked any job she could find, not for comfort but for survival. Each sacrifice had been quiet. Each hardship carried alone. There were records of her helping others without reward. Notes from former co-workers who said she stayed late so younger workers could go home. Reports of money returned, items found and handed over without hesitation. Acts so small they were forgotten by everyone except her. As these truths came together, the contrast became painful. The woman many saw as invisible, unimportant, or even suspicious was someone who had lived with deep integrity. While others judged her by her uniform and age, they had missed the strength that held her upright. They had mistaken silence for weakness, humility for nothingness. Meanwhile, she felt the weight of the building pressing down on her. Memories she had buried long ago stirred awake. Every cold look reminded her of times she had been blamed without being heard. She wondered if kindness was worth this pain, if doing the right thing had only made her more alone. The tension grew as facts clashed with assumptions. People who had been quick to judge now felt unease. The story they had told themselves no longer fit. It was easier to believe she was wrong than to admit they had never truly seen her. Understanding demanded humility, and not everyone was ready for that. One evening, as she cleaned a quiet corridor, she paused near a window. Outside, the city lights flickered like distant stars. She rested her hands on her cart, breathing slowly. For a moment, the years of struggle felt close enough to touch. She thought of all she had lost, and all she had held onto despite it. Behind her, unseen, the truth continued to rise. Files were closed. Conclusions were forming. The investigation was no longer about an incident. It was about a person, a real human life that had been overlooked for far too long. And as judgment began to crumble, understanding waited just ahead, ready to change everything. The moment comes on an ordinary morning. She arrives at work, just as she always does, her steps slow, her head lowered. The building greets her with its usual noise. Phones ringing, doors opening, voices rushing past. Nothing feels different at first, but then a supervisor approaches her. Not with impatience, not with dismissal, with purpose. He asks her to come with him. The words are polite, but her heart still sinks. Old fears rise again. Her hands grow cold as she follows him down a hallway. She has cleaned 1,000 times, but never truly walked with purpose. Inside a small meeting room, several people are already waiting. Security staff, management, faces she recognizes but has never spoken to. The room feels too bright, too quiet. She stands near the door, unsure where to place herself, unsure if she is even welcome to sit. Then it begins. They explain that the lost wallet was reported by its owner, a senior executive. They explain how the amount inside was checked, how security footage was reviewed, how timelines were matched. Every detail points to one truth. She did not hesitate. She did not take a single thing. She returned what was not hers without being asked. The room grows silent. She feels her chest tighten as the words sink in. This time, the silence is not heavy with doubt. It is filled with something else. Respect. The executive steps forward. His voice is calm, but his eyes carry weight. He speaks of how rare honesty has become in a place driven by money and pressure. How easy it would have been for someone in her position to walk away. Yet she did not. As he thanks her, something inside her breaks open. For years, she has existed without acknowledgement. Years of being unseen. Years of quiet work and silent sacrifice. And now, suddenly, people are looking at her. Not past her, not through her, but at her. She tries to speak, but her voice trembles. So she nods instead, tears forming in her tired eyes. Around the room, expressions change. Supervisors who once overlooked her now look ashamed. The security guard who doubted her lowers his gaze. Whispers of apology pass without words. They see her now, not as a cleaner, not as background, but as a person of character. One of the managers speaks up, acknowledging how quickly judgment was passed, how easy it was to assume instead of understand. The words are careful, but sincere. She listens quietly, hands clasped together, heart pounding. This is not about praise. It is about dignity being returned. When a meeting ends, something remarkable happens. As she walks back into the hallway, people stop what they are doing. Some nod, some smile. One person softly says thank you. It is not loud. It is not dramatic, but it is real. Tears slip down her cheeks before she can stop them. She turns away quickly, embarrassed, but no one laughs. No one ignores her. They let her feel. Later that day, as she cleans the same floor she always has, the building feels different. Not because it has changed, but because she has. Her back is still bent. Her hands still ache. Her job is still hard. But her worth is no longer invisible. She realizes something then, standing alone in the quiet hallway. Kindness did not make her weak. It revealed her strength. What she gave freely, without hope of reward, has returned to her in a form she never expected. Not as money, not as comfort, but as respect. As the lights dim toward evening, she pauses and looks around. For the first time in years, she feels seen, truly seen. And as the day comes to an end, one truth becomes clear. Her kindness did not just change how others see her. It changed how she sees herself. Days turn into weeks, and the change she once thought impossible begins to settle into her life. The building still hums with business and urgency, but she walks its halls differently now. Her steps are not slower. No, she is still bent with age and tired from work, but there's a new weight behind them, one of confidence, of quiet pride. People nod at her. Some speak her name. Some smile when she passes. She is no longer invisible. Her job feels different too. Not easier. Her work is still hard, but more secure. Supervisors trust her. Colleagues consult her. Even small gestures, like someone holding a door for her, feel like tiny acts of acknowledgement she never imagined she would receive. For the first time in decades, she knows she matters. And slowly, the emotional walls she has built around herself begin to crumble. The grief she carried, the ghosts of family lost, of dreams that never bloomed, softens. She no longer feels the sharp sting of isolation every day. Instead, there is hope, a quiet, steady hope that life, even in its harshness, can carry moments of kindness and recognition. She finds herself reflecting on her journey. Every ache in her back, every sleepless night, every sacrifice made to stay honest and kind, it all comes into focus. She thinks about the wallet, that small moment that tested her in ways she never expected. How close she came to taking the easy path. How her heart insisted on doing what was right. She realizes that staying kind, even when the world ignores or doubts her, was not weakness, it was courage. And the ripple effect is visible everywhere. Colleagues she never spoke to before now pause to offer help. Security staff act with more patience and fairness, inspired by the example she set. Even strangers she passes in the hallways begin to treat the world a little more kindly, without realizing why. Her act of compassion has quietly changed the atmosphere around her. One evening, as she finishes her work and walks home beneath the soft glow of streetlights, she pauses and looks up at the sky. A deep breath fills her lungs. She smiles softly, feeling the weight of decades lift ever so slightly. She thinks of the life she once carried, full of hardship, sacrifice, and silence, and realizes that kindness outlasts suffering. Even in a harsh world, even when invisible, her choices mattered. They mattered not just to her, but to everyone she touched, even unknowingly. She knows now that dignity is not given, it is shown. And through her quiet, consistent acts of integrity, she has claimed hers. As she steps into her small, humble home, she sets down her cleaning cart and looks around. Everything is the same, yet everything feels different. The loneliness that once followed her like a shadow has softened. Peace fills the corners of her life. She understands that life will always have challenges, but she also knows that kindness, once sown, never truly dies. Her heart, once heavy and uncertain, now carries a steady light. The world may have overlooked her for years, but she has finally learned something far greater, that compassion, patience, and integrity can change not only others' lives but her own. And as she sits by her window, watching the stars appear in the quiet night, she whispers to herself, a small, confident smile on her lips. I was never invisible. I just had to wait for the world to see me. The morning sun spills softly through her small window. She sits at the edge of her bed, her hands folded in her lap, and breathes in the calm. For the first time in many years, there is no rush, no weight pressing on her chest. The world has not changed completely. Life still carries its challenges, but she has. Her routine remains, but feels different now. When she walks through the building, her steps are measured, steady, and unafraid. Colleagues smile without hesitation. Supervisors nod with respect. The once invisible halls now feel lighter, warmer, touched by a presence that her acts of kindness have made undeniable. Yet she does not boast. She does not seek attention. She moves quietly, as she always has, tending to her work with care and humility. She knows that true kindness does not announce itself. It whispers in actions, in small choices, and in the courage to do what is right, even when no one is watching. Sometimes, she pauses to watch the world around her. The delivery worker she once saw trembling under unfair judgment now smiles as he passes through the lobby. A security guard treats a visitor with patience he did not have before. Even strangers she never meets carry forward gestures she sparked without knowing it. Small ripples, quiet changes, but meaningful all the same. She thinks about her journey, the long years of loneliness, the sacrifices, the quiet endurance. How often she was unseen, underestimated, and ignored. She remembers the wallet, that moment that seemed so small at first but became the turning point of her life. And she understands now that every act of integrity, every choice to do right, carries power far beyond what she could imagine. Her eyes soften as she smiles faintly. She no longer carries the burden of proving her worth. She knows it is already evident, not in applause or recognition, but in the way the world has shifted subtly around her, in how people choose to act when faced with small moral decisions, in the gentle acknowledgement that integrity leaves its mark, whether visible or unseen. As she steps outside into the soft evening light, the city hums with life around her. Cars pass, doors open and close, voices rise and fade, but she moves through it with quiet strength. She is humble, grounded, and at peace, aware that her journey was not about reward, but about holding on to humanity. She pauses, looking at a child helping an elderly neighbor with their groceries. She smiles to herself. Kindness is quiet, she thinks, but its effects are vast. It changes lives in ways no one can always measure. It builds understanding where there was judgment. It plants hope where there was doubt. It restores dignity where there was neglect. She turns back toward home, her steps light. The world continues its pace, but she walks in harmony with it, having discovered a truth that many overlook, that quiet, unwavering kindness, compassion offered without expectation, can change everything. And in that moment, she knows that her life, once filled with silence and struggle, has become a testament to the power of empathy, forgiveness, and the enduring strength of the human heart. Her journey ends not with fanfare, but with a soft, lasting echo. Kindness does not always shout, but it always leaves its mark.